Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful individuals. It's another epi of League Unlocked. Eric and Mark here with you guys, and today, unfortunately, we're diving into its drama. Drama central in specifically South Korea, and there's been rumors now this is ramping up, talking about KESPA and the Esports Nations Cup. And the quick recap, it sounds like ENC kind of wanted say on who South Korea was maybe going to be sending on their roster. We know that means they wanted Faker, and maybe even further, they wanted that full reunion of Zeus, Guma, and that old T1 lineup, of course, for marketing to draw hype. And KESPA goes, actually, we're going to pick what the roster is to represent the country. And right now, Faker is not a mid laner you'd probably choose to represent in terms of current power level.
And that means, most likely, no KESPA at the ENC event. And that is absolutely a big blow that we are going to have to talk about and dive into. There's some messy and yucky things that you got to talk about when you are dealing with this type of situation and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, what I want to get across is that this is certainly not a decision to be taken lightly, and absolutely one of those ones that is going to, again, for the ENC, for the landscape of League of Legends on an international scale, is going to have a ripple effect that will be felt through.
Yeah, and I think people maybe don't fully understand how imposing a figure KESPA is, not just within League of Legends, but this is the entire ruling body for esports in South Korea. Every title and, the LCK is at their mercy. So ENC saying, okay, great, we'll just get some other Korean players outside of KESPA to come join the squad. KESPA goes, no, that's not how this is going to work. If you do that, they will not be granted the rights to represent their country. And I guarantee you, even with a fat paycheck, none of the LCK teams are going to step to KESPA and let any of their players represent.
No, because especially with the power and the control that KESPA has over the variety of esports, but never mind specifically League of Legends and its importance and popularity within Korea, you're not stepping to KESPA and wanting to get on the bad side, go against anything in this.
It's a career ender if you do that.
There's no real pot of gold or benefit that the ENC or the Saudis could throw on top of it, even to the ludicrous degrees that are possible for them, that would still outweigh the negative effects the consequences that you could possibly face from KESPA stepping forward and stepping out of line to what they have set forth. I don't see any organization, or even at that point, retired former players type of things. You're not going to bite the hand that feeds, or the one that controls the leash of everything that's going on within that region. It's not going to happen. I think that's one of those ones where it's understandable that that's maybe the alternate course of business or thought pattern from the ENC and from the Saudi, that, okay, simply we're just going to solve this by, how much more money can we throw on this problem, and we'll get anybody to come over here from that type of situation. You're going to find out that in some of these ones, your power is not going to match, no matter the dollar signs that you're going to throw down.
And listen, the reality is, and you've seen people talk about, okay, well, what about non-LCK guys? There's lots of Korean players overseas. You could throw a lineup that's Thanatos, Tarzan, Quid, Viper, Kael. I mean, that team could still win this whole event, but all 5 of these players that would go, you're still burning the bridge within the LCK, and you're thinking long-term, you might want to return to the LCK. Maybe that's as a player capacity or just being involved with the league as a coach, analyst, whatever it might be. I don't think any player, even overseas, is going to be willing to take that risk.
I don't even think there is a player overseas, again, that would want that bridge burned, because as you laid out, so many of these guys, and understandably so, would love to return to the LCK, to go home, to play for one of those dominant teams. So many of them have gone elsewhere for, whether a different point in their career, looking for that starting opportunity, trying to get one of these world spots that isn't locked down by, what does it look like? A dominant Gen G, a T1, and then, of course, this is the year of all years that we're talking about that, but still, more or less can assume that those are locked in and then things like that. So, yes, I don't see there even being a large pool of guys, even extending out and whatever you have to do in that regard. that would want to have that bridge burned with Kespa, with that type of situation. So I think this is going to be one of those ones where just flat out you might have to be envisioning this event without the Korean participation at that point.
And I mean, now going even further, we're seeing the teams China, Taiwan, Hong Kong all have been removed from teams being listed to participate in this whole event. And we won't get into the dicey details of that. But if China also is not even going to be a part of this, and again, this ENC, it's not just League of Legends. There's 16 different esports titles that are going to be on this mega tournament. And if there's no Korean and no Chinese players, well, this is beyond a Mickey Mouse tournament at that point. This is just a for fun Rift rivals.
It's pretty much a full-on derailment at that point for the ENC and what you're talking about and how the setup would be. There's certainly some legitimacy, some avenue that you could have a conversation about having a tournament like this as the best of the rest, right, type of situation where it is what you're looking at from North America, from Europe, from all the other smaller nations, everything's like that combined and duking it out, but it still isn't the same as having, obviously, the full lineup that would be there. But this is supposed to be something that is more representative of a full global scale. It isn't supposed to be a best of the rest type of tournament situation, no matter whatever Mickey Mouse label we want to throw onto it, depending on your level of support or approval of the event type of thing. So to have that hanging over it, again, it is calling for pretty much a full derailment almost of this event or early on, if that is going to be where you're having both the Korean and Chinese, Taiwanese communities stepping away from the event.
And my maybe hope or precedent or change that comes from this is because there's no question people are hyped at the idea of a national pride type of tournament, maybe all the derailing of this Let's Riot go, okay, maybe we just organize a fully Riot sanctioned event that shouldn't have any of this drama behind the scenes where people can only be hyped and not even feel bad about being excited for it.
It would be good. It's one of those ones where, again, even, full-on Riot sanctioned and approved and put on type of things come with their own consequences and strings and stuff that you're pulling on and going through and accepting at that point. But yes, I would have envisioned more so that official channel would be something that I would, and a lot of other fans would like to see. I will say one of the positives that can come out of this, regardless of if the event moves forward like this or who joins and whatnot, is it has been at the very least within North America and some of these other countries, you've seen this step forward, this, first couple of steps at the very least to put together official organizations about esports, about League of Legends, official councils, coaches, general managers, things that you see amongst Olympic rosters when people are trying to make these decisions and whatnot, and having that type of infrastructure, having that set up in place is some of these things that can make it easier, more likely that you will get an official one from Riot Games, whatever, down the line. So I think seeing that and some of these announcements already are still some positive things that we can take away from even the planning and brainstorming, whatever type of phase of an event like this.
Can you imagine athletes for the Olympics if the IOC was saying, well, you got to have this person, this person, this person, they have to be included? It's crazy. It's ludicrous. So we'll see how things end up playing out here. But either way, yeah, a huge blow to not have Kespa involved in this in any way, shape, or form. There's drama even within the Kespa universe, and the LCK were diving back into BNK FearX. Their very rough start to this split is about to get a whole lot rougher because they announced that Diable will be demoted to the Challenger League, and this is not for on the Rift performance issues. He remains the lone bright spot at times for them during that, but this is for disciplinary reasons. He missed a fan meet that he was supposed to attend, and it sounds like that is just the latest in many strings of not so great teammate experiences. I've seen some of the behind the scenes where he is maybe getting a bit overwhelmed, upset with teammates and the team, and it's things like this that you forget. This kid is 18 years old, Mark.
Oh, yeah, and again, you can be forgiven for forgetting something like that with how explosive, how exciting the gameplay can be from him on Summoner's Rift. You gotta make sure that you are taking that check and reminding yourself again what it's like to be at that point in your life and how things can go and what you can and can't sometimes be aware of. And I think that's one of those situations that Diable finds himself in, and certainly one of those ones where you need to be reminded, and absolutely one of these ones where I think at the end of the day, you're more so talking about BNK and the stones that it takes as an organization to take this stand and make this type of move forward for them, because this is certainly not playing into their hands or into their favor right now as far as getting that contract re-signed for Diable. So I think we can all count on that one maybe not going on through, but absolutely love this move and happy to see it. And this is someone that is a supporter and fan of Diable at this point, because number one, missing a fan meet, not good. And it's not one of those ones where you got to go crazy overboard and, slap him on the wrist 3-5 times, whatever. But it certainly is one of these ones where you got to understand the ecosystem, the environment that you are in, and why it is possible is these fans, and making sure that you are giving them any type of attention and special things like that, and especially ones that are scheduled out in this type of fashion, the way it is with the LCK, cannot be skipping out any of these official ones, things like that. And then secondly, and probably more importantly, talking about being that teammate angle on the squad. This is one of those ones where I think anybody can relate to having these type of feelings, these type of emotions when you are maybe in that situation where you are the only positive angle or the most shining of stars on this team, where things aren't going right, or the way that you envisioned, or the same success or path of promotion and performance that you just saw last split type of thing. And you can understand that type of frustration, but it absolutely is one that I think, as you said, you look behind the scenes, you see some of these videos, it's leaning more so towards that toxicity type of side, the one where you are not going to get that proper and positive response from your teammates, from whoever you're talking to situation. So I think that this is absolutely, for both parties, probably the best step forward for them.
Well, absolutely credit to BFX. If, you can't let somebody's ego or control the team, anything like that, especially a younger player like this. Hopefully, Diable takes this as an opportunity for growth for himself, both as a player and just as a person. And something to monitor going forward is, if Vikla comes back into the starting lineup now, even though Daystar's had some good performances, I think it tells the tale that there was a clash between Vikla and Diable.
I think that'll be clear as day, and it's absolutely one of those ones where you don't got to watch more than 5 minutes of any of these behind-the-scenes things to identify that was a friction point, was one of these areas. And absolutely one of those ones where you can see that, again, we did before, we're talking about some bounce back, some good performances from someone like Vikla. You can envision that the environment and some of the things that we have seen from behind the scenes ain't really playing up to helping that be the case out there for BFX.
But either way, for this squad, 2-6 start, they basically locked into that Rise group for the next split. They can't wait for MSI to start soon enough. They're not going to be represented, but they probably just want to move on and get ready for the next split, because it has not been the follow-up that they wanted after representing at first stand. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you for all that tasty drama. Thanks for hanging out as always. We will catch you on that Flip and Flip.